Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Expansive CEO Podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Chapman. And today we have a guest who I am so excited for you all to hear and to meet. Not just audience that I know is amazing and wonderful, but even all of the other people I've had on this podcast. So this one I wanted to go out far and wide because we all need to hear what Camille Miller has to say. So, Camille Miller is a three-time best-selling author on soul-driven entrepreneurship. She's founder of the Soul Professional Movement, and that is what we're going to talk about a lot today, and a
Mhm.
sought-after business designer and strategist. She's dedicated to helping soul-led entrepreneurs worldwide design businesses that align with their values and purpose. And her mission is simple: to inspire and support others in bringing their gifts to the world. So, Camille, I have told you this a few times, but this is like my full jam is other entrepreneurs who are bringing their full heart, soul, spirit into their business while also utilizing their gifts, their talents, who are incredibly smart, incredibly successful, and they want to do it in a way that aligns with their true soul, their true purpose. So tell us more. Let's get into it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me today and being able to talk about this. This is a new relaunch for us. So we're really excited to, bring this movement back. And I feel like there's such a paradigm shift happening in the world. Like it's been happening, but now I feel like everyone's starting to feel it and we're seeing people be the more in that what is my soul's purpose? Why am I here? I've been doing what I've been doing, but doesn't make my heart sing, or this isn't why I went into the career I went into, and now I want more. I want to make impact in the world. Like we're doing things differently because they feel good to us. It's not so motivated in money. Although I do believe in building businesses that create money because we need money to create impact.
Right.
But it comes more from a place of passion.
Hmm.
And I think we're all, especially after the pandemic, just feeling more of it. And I love when people come to me and they're like, I've been doing this all my life. I don't know what I can do next. And helping them create and see that next step, in their life, in their chapter. I was like, you can have your boundless freedom in your time and do things that you love every single day. And I always say, if you were to win the lottery today, would you still show up for work tomorrow? And if the answer is yes, then you are in alignment with who you are. Then
Hmm.
you are in alignment. But if the answer is like, I can't wait to quit, then you are not in alignment. Like you should already be considering what do you want to do from here?
Yeah,
Right. And it's not always about the money. And I know people are like, but I got bills, I got this. That's great. You can still make money being in your passion, right? You
absolutely.
just have to design it so it works for you.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that it's so interesting because I remember from our first conversation, you really spoke to that really strongly that the like the executive that's
Mhm.
just done, or even the CEO that's like, I built a business and I actually don't love it and I
Yep,
really
that's
want to get away
happened.
from it.
Yeah.
Right. And so part of it is like, okay, how do we redesign? How do we create something that actually, again, brings all of your talents, all of your knowledge, all of your amazing experience that you've lived through, and then bring your heart into it as well. And you can actually make money that way, right? And
Yeah.
have more, excuse me, more impact.
Yeah,
I believe people have more impact when they're working from their heart and their expertise.
absolutely. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that your business has to change as you change. So as we all do the inner work and start to grow, we start to attract different people to us because we are a different person. So I always tell my clients, don't be afraid to change and tweak. And I beta test things all day long. Like I'm always like, I feel like this right now. Let me go launch this, right? I do not have like a real system to how I do things. Like I have foundations and core values and things like that that have never changed since I started. But I have built things and then deconstructed them. Right? I
Hmm.
had a 9 season podcast, built it, loved it, and went, okay, I'm done now. deconstructed it, right? I wrote this trilogy book series and then just went, okay, I'm done with that series now. Well, I'll do another book, yeah, but it won't be this like this series because it's done now, right? So I do things and then I'm done with them. But I think people have to remember that just because you design something that's in your passion and alignment today, it might not still suit you 5 years from now, and that's okay.
Mm.
We just change it.
Yeah.
Change your business, let go of what no longer serves you. And so it opens up the space for opportunities to happen.
Hmm.
And you want to be in that type of flow. It has to feel good. If it's not feeling good, then you're not in alignment. That's really with all parts of your life, but I mostly stick to the business side.
Yeah. Yes. I can like very strongly identify with all of that as well. I mean, even um, with X Squared Wealth
Yeah.
Planning, it was my first business. I launched that at the end of January 2021. So we're about 4.5 years in at this point. And even just in that amount of time, I have iterated so many times and given myself the permission to grow and shift and change. And the clients that have been like there with me for the last 3 to 4 years, they're the ones that are like all in, like, yes, keep growing, keep shifting, keep
Yeah.
bringing the new stuff because we have solid, strong foundations. And then whatever I'm learning, whatever I am excited about, like when I bring that into my work, it elevates everything. Does it also like filter people out? Yeah, it does. Have I had clients leave? Yes, absolutely. I've had many clients leave over that time. And the ones that stay love it. And I am now broadcasting to people who are hearing, I like to use the tuning fork analogy, hearing my tuning fork so
Yeah,
strongly, right? Like they're drawn to who I am
exactly.
now. Hmm.
Yeah, because you've changed.
Yeah.
So people are more drawn to who you are, and then they're going to bring people and referrals of more of who you are, like where you're going,
Yeah.
right? I always say we should work towards our future self,
Hmm.
right? And things don't serve us, you have to let them go. Like I used to work with a lot of people that were starting hobbies. But my real joy is putting the pieces together, the strategy. Like I love the strategy. I'm also have an intuitive gift that I can kind of see people's like business plans and auras and kind of be like, wait, this is what I'm seeing. Does that resonate with you? And people are like, yeah, but nobody would buy that. I'm like, okay, that's a limiting belief. Let's
Yeah.
start working on that, right? So, being able to put these really unique business models together and they have to change. So, when I used to attract a lot of hobbyists, those are not my people anymore. Like now I work with mostly people coming out of corporate jobs or very logical brained careers, doctors, lawyers, scientists, CPAs, those kind of things. A lot of attorneys, a lot of educators right now,
Oh, yeah.
leaving education. Um, and to help them grow. It's not that I don't serve the hobbyists anymore, but the same amount of strategy is not there. Like if you don't want to make at least six figures, you're probably not a good client for me. Right. But if you do want to build this beautiful empire for yourself, and I don't care if it's six figures or seven figures, I haven't worked with an eight yet who's been a solo entrepreneur. Um, that's what I want because that's how I feel that you impact the world. Right. But I have free programs that are available to all of those other people. And I struggled with that actually for a while because my mission was to help everybody bring their gifts to the world. That
Hmm.
was my mission. It's still my mission. So I had to figure out, okay, if I'm more of a high ticket kind of person and these are the people I'm bringing in because one, I have a wait list, but because I have more value now, so my prices are up, right? My prices are a lot higher than most people than especially 10 years ago,
Right.
right? Big difference between 10 years ago and here. So, but I still wanted to help everybody. So I do a whole free series. It's on YouTube. You can get every single one of my classes on YouTube for free. You can come to my networking for free, right? There's a whole free piece that you can be a part of. And maybe you meet a different business coach. Maybe you meet a different, like whatever you need is in my community. So you can find other people to help you. And now I'm beta testing actually a smaller mastermind for some of these people that don't have consistent, they want to get out of the hobby phase, but into the,
Mm,
so I beta test different things because I actually like the strategy.
mm.
I like the kind of like the hot seat stuff. Like give me the problem and let me solve it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I can identify with that as well with the when I'm doing financial planning, especially, or if I'm doing
Yeah,
business strategy.
very
Um,
similar. Yeah.
yeah, I all of my marketing is towards entrepreneurs, especially impact driven business owners, right? People who want to make a difference, who want to make money and use that money, like you're saying, use that to make an impact on
Impact.
their
Yeah.
family, on their community, on the world. And that usually means that there is a bigger puzzle. It's a more complicated situation. And there's just more to it. There's more nuance. There's more meat. There's more support that that person needs, right?
Mhm.
Especially as an entrepreneur who has, lots of irons in the fire. The financial stuff is usually not that person's zone of genius in any way, shape, or form. Usually they're kind of terrified of it.
Yeah,
It's like
I get that.
I love being able to jump in with that person and help them manage their thousand-piece puzzle where, I have done before, worked with people who are very young or, on the other side of the spectrum. I'll have clients who own businesses and they'll have a retirement account for their employees. I'll talk to their employees and help them set up their little simple IRA. And it's like the very, very simple aspect of it. If that was my whole business, I would go crazy. Like, absolutely not. I can't do that. I can't do that all day, every day. Like,
Yeah,
nope.
exactly.
If it's to support one of my clients in providing a benefit for their employees, 100% that we can do.
Yes.
But it's because it's again that folds into their thousand-piece puzzle,
Yeah.
right? Versus working with, younger people who are just getting started. Not that that's never all right. There are definitely entrepreneurs in that demographic as well, but it's a very different space to work in, and it just requires not different skills, but I don't get to use all my skills. That goes back to the experience part, right? Like when I get to
Yeah.
like use everything and be fully myself and like go gosh, today I was working on a plan that's we're talking about being in the euro and USD, and like we need to figure out how do we manage that. And over I'm like, oh, that's interesting, let's talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
It's also, yeah, that's why I like different things every single day. Not
Mhm.
everybody does, but my business is specifically designed for it because I decided, what do I really like? What do I really don't like? Right? Routine, I would hate that. I would hate a one-on-one business too, that like I just went from client to client to client to client. And over this last year, I've actually learned that I do better and the results are more exponential when I work in a small cohort as a group. Like I teach as a group, but then meet with them one on one. So it's like a hybrid situation of like a mastermind and then a one on one where we're implementing what I just taught because everyone has to implement it differently,
Mhm.
right? Depending on their business. And I just kind of learned like, wow, this is totally my sweet spot. So I rarely do one-on-ones unless someone needs something very specific, right? If they can fit into one of my programs where it's a hybrid model, it's usually the results are exponential. So it's a little learning thing, but I love showing up every day and going, what's on my plate today? Right?
Yes. Well, and I think that's so important to mention that, again, you have experimented for a long time on
Yeah,
what works for you.
right.
And so what you're literally saying and what I've heard you say is, okay, now let's figure out client in front of me. What, this is how it works for me, but how does it work for you?
Yes. Yeah. And I've built things that I've had to deconstruct because they didn't feel good. At one time I built a pretty big business, probably about, I would say 18. Oh no, it was actually June. So it's almost 2 years now. So it's been like 2 years that I constructed a business and had all these people working for me, and I hated it. And I was like, what am I doing? Now I'm managing all of these people and not actually in my zone of genius. Like, and then I just made the bold decision to just deconstruct the whole thing. And I broke it all down and started over. And then I started actually branding my name.
Mm,
So I've never branded my name until 2 years ago I decided to. And then just said, okay, let's start this new piece and start doing your one-on-one. And, over the years I've built the school and everything else. But I built something that didn't feel good.
yeah.
And sometimes that happens. You climb the wrong mountain. You're like, oh no, I was supposed to be on that mountain over there. You have to come back down, start the new mountain.
Hmm. Mm.
That's okay. That's okay. It's like
Oh,
give yourself grace because now I know that that didn't work for me. Be really careful not to do it again.
mm. Or even having the experience of doing that, right? That gave you so much insight for others who are wanting to do that
Exactly.
thing, right? Like
Yeah.
you're just getting like more and more tools in your tool belt from
Yes.
all that experience.
Yeah. Also, a really fun thing for me is that I get to work with all of these people and I have to understand their business first. Right. So and because my models are so unique, everyone builds a different business. So I could say, well, I had a client that tried it this way, or I had one who tried it this way. I have like a lot of doctors or practitioners that want to move out of their practice. Right. So it's always like, do we contract it out? Do we sell it? Do you want to do any of that anymore? Do you have licenses that have to go? Like, there's all of these plannings that have to go into it, right? And some people give it up, some people kind of have to do it, some people have a whole business that runs without them so they can go do something else. Like there's so many different models and ways of doing things that it's the puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
That's the fun part is the puzzle pieces.
Mm, I love that. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the soul professional movement. Let's
Yay.
because what we're even talking about, right? These like all the people that are coming to you that want to build a business that's more aligned with who they are, it's because of this, right? It's
Yes,
because they want to work
absolutely.
from their heart.
Yeah.
And so you have a few things on your website. I have way too many tabs open. So
It's okay.
I know it's here somewhere. I was just looking at it, but you have a pledge, you have everything. Tell us more about what it means to be part. What is the soul professional movement? What does it mean to be a part of it? Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
Let's dive into it.
So it started when I started the original, my umbrella company was called the Natural Life Business Partnership. It was the original goal was to be a professional organization for soul-led entrepreneurs, right? It took a while to get back to where we're going because it was bigger than me. I always felt like I wasn't all the way a holistic woo-woo person. But when I went there, I just felt it lacked business like fundamentals. That's not how I wanted to do. And a lot of people were hobbyists, and that's not where I wanted to be. When I went to business organizations, it were way too much of selling and being in masculine energy. And I was like, that's not who I am. So I ended up creating my own, which I do a lot, right? When I can't
Right.
find it in the world, I create it. And I started the Natural Life Business Partnership, and that was 10 years ago. But we started as a little coffee club.
Mm.
And that coffee club expanded quite quickly throughout the Northeast. And people pledged, and there was a paid membership at that point, which I just closed in December. But the original was a paid membership where everyone was joining the professional organization. And that's what it was. Um, we ended up going to a Zoom model in 2018 because I had this feeling that that's where business was going. It was going to go to a Zoom model. So you can imagine in 2020, when there was this global pandemic, that we grew so quickly, I almost drowned. Like it was almost too fast, and I didn't have the backing and everything I needed in place that we have today. That's where the word soul professional came at the end of 2020. It was kind of I'm intuitive again, so it was kind of dropped into me. I immediately trademarked the word, and although it took 3 years to get the trademark, but um, it was once again to collect all of these people that are all over the world doing these purpose-driven work. And now there's even more entrepreneurs doing it,
Hmm.
right? There are more people because of the pandemic that just said, I have to work more in my purpose, or I just want a different life, or I want this boundless freedom, or, whatever it is. So that's where the soul professional came out. Um, but I feel like now, after the 2 years ago, I created that, I decided to kind of break away and do my own thing and did all of this strategy for the last 2 years and kind of worked in my own lane. Let go of the membership that I had in December because I knew I was about to redo something, but I wasn't sure what it was, but I needed to create the space for it. So I let go of a big part and a big revenue generator of my business
Hmm.
to allow space for this. And then I was like, I'm going to relaunch the movement. And the movement is really that initial idea of a really safe professional organization where people, soul-led entrepreneurs, can come together from all over the world and be more together. So this is really about being a better global citizen, a good human, right? To collaborate over competition, to make each other, not make, to help each other rise in the world and give each other enough support and guidance in whatever it is that they need. But here's a space where we all have the same core values, right? And I have a lot of people that come to me because obviously I run a big network, um, and says, "Hey, I'm looking for, an accountant or a CPA or a therapist or a business coach or whatever it is," right? But they want someone who gets them. That's what I hear. I don't know. No one ever gets me. They don't understand. I just do things differently. And I'm like, I get you. And let me introduce you to my community because if I resonate with you, everyone in my community also resonates with you, right? I'm an introvert. Not everyone is an introvert, but I am an introvert, which shocks people. I'm very, very logically brained, but I'm very soul led.
Hmm.
So it's the combination of those two things where I attract all of these people. And the soul professional movement is for these people. It's a professional organization, it's completely free, um, where we can come together and find one another. So by signing the pledge, and I added the pledge this year because the soul professional was always someone who lives in a higher vibration, has an alternative approach to business, and is here to help repair the world. So it's those three things. But then we added the pledge to be really clear that are you agreeing to be these things? Is this who you are in the world? And when you sign the pledge, we actually will have a directory that's going to come out this summer so people can find each other all over the world. Right now, our organization represents, I think it's like 28 countries.
Wow.
I was just listening to an old podcast that was recorded in November and we had 22 countries. So I knew that I was like, oh, we expanded. And I really hope to get to 50 by the end of the year. That's my goal, which is pretty big, right?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Um, yeah, but to give everyone whatever they need. We don't know what they need, but it's about having those global conversations. And I'm a big believer by coming together and being one, we're sending the olive branch out across borders, right? It's beyond borders. How can we help each other? Right? Because most of my people live all over the world, right? How can we network? We have free networking. We have free master classes that you can show up live. You can ask each other questions. We're trying to find a better way to create community because Facebook's not really working anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of my global communities have WhatsApp, so maybe that's where we end up. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But I am creating and finding leaders all over the world that have audiences and have ideas that are starting to collaborate.
Mm.
So I'm like, hey, why don't we have this meeting? And here's where I'm stuck. Here's where I don't know what to do. So it's kind of growing along with me and what other people need in the world. I'm a responder, so I can see the gaps and I tend to fill them.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's where the movement came from, was a way for us to find each other across the world, and to build these businesses that will create impact. So the movement's about that. And then there's also there's the Soul Professional Business School, and we have an online learning academy and all of that, which will feature all of these soul professionals. So it's not about me, it's about we.
Yeah. Yes. And the what really draws me to that beyond, this fact that it's other people who are like heart and head together.
Yeah.
Like that's I love that just on a very base level. Like that resonates with me really strongly.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's very global, and I truly believe that when we even get to talk to people that are from somewhere different from where you're from,
Yeah.
especially a different country, right? I was born in Arizona. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio right now. You're in New Jersey, right?
Yes.
And I mean, so even like we've got some differences. We can talk, some different things because we're from different places, but it's different than being able to really have a conversation with someone who grew up in Brazil or someone who grew up in
Yes.
Scotland or in Asia, right? Like it's so different to
Yeah.
get an actual global perspective and to, meet another human that had a very different upbringing than you. It's
Yeah.
it's super important.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people that I found do business in the US. So that's probably how they find our community. But people are moving all over the world now, which is really interesting
Hmm.
because even Americans aren't in America anymore. Some are
Yeah.
obviously, but they're branching out. But I think having these global conversations is really a big foundational piece to this community. Um, because there's things that we have to talk about just as business owners. What software do you use? What currency do you do? I know I had I had a large Canadian client base that when our dollars, there's like a 40% difference in our currency value. And there was a time where I gave them all big discounts, but then like when it hit 40%, I was just like, I can't give a 40% discount anymore, right? I can't support myself now. So I don't really have Canadian clients right now. So are there programs that I can do to bring more of them together? Like those conversations are really important as our economies are changing. What do we need? What do we support? There's different um what am I thinking of? Like transactions, things like PayPal and Stripe and all of those, that
Hmm.
conversations come up a lot. Like, hey, I have a high ticket item. This happened to me once. I had a high ticket item and someone decided to pay all at once, and it was like a $10,000 transaction, and it was halted. It never hit my bank, right? Because they're like, they thought it was fraud and like the whole thing. And I'm like, oh my God, right? So having those types of conversations, or this morning in one of my masterminds, we had a conversation. It was actually about me that I said, I'm having trouble now with, I have so many brands. How do I not confuse people? And how do I keep the movement almost separate from me, but I'm also the leader of the movement,
Hmm.
right? But I have to do all of my other work to support me and the movement,
Right.
right? Right? Because I self-funded this whole thing, right? So it's kind of, how do I fund this piece, right? It's so important and passionate about it, but things come up in the world, and I think global conversations are important because we're working with different things, but a lot of us are working with people all over the world,
Hmm.
right? So those conversations, even cultural differences. When I put up the movement, I had people from all different continents read it to make sure it made sense. And there were some words that we had to take out or change. So it had more of a global resonance, even though it was written in English, that the words made sense in different continents and they understood what we were doing.
Oh,
So, yeah.
yeah, I'm in a mastermind right now that we have at least three different countries represented. It might be four
Okay.
in kind of a small group. I mean, I think there are
Hmm.
12 of us. And we've gotten like it's really interesting because I'm US based. Most of the group, probably like 75% is US based, and so are
Yeah.
the leaders are two different. Wait, one she is from the US, the other is from um actually South America and somewhere else. Like she has been all over the world. Very, very wonderful, amazing people. And some of the comments that we've gotten that we've like talked about recently are that like we're talking about pricing structures
Mm,
specifically, right? Like
big.
in US dollars and US dollars are more expensive than
Yep.
some other places, but also just our pricing tends to be a lot higher than, for example, in the UK,
Yes.
right? We have some coaches that are UK based, and they're like, I want to understand, like, I want to understand your pricing. Like, how do you charge, quote unquote, so much comparatively? And when we look at it, it's like, well, yeah, things are different in different
Yes.
cultures. People value things differently. People have literally, I mean, I talk about this on like the Friday episodes of the Investment Friday episodes of the podcast. Like economies are different. People make different amounts of money based on where they are in the world, which seems kind of like fundamental, but we don't necessarily consider it fully if we're really
Exactly.
really
Yeah.
myopic about where we live.
Yeah. And I'm seeing more and more people, even if they live in different countries, have US bank accounts and working with Americans in US dollars because that's how they're making a lot more money
Hmm.
living and being able to afford wherever they're living. Right. So it's kind of curious, but that is, I think, a big conversation to have. Like, how do I help more people around the world because they can't afford me? I'm expensive for Americans, right?
Yeah.
So, so but I think it's important. And that was part of this movement. Like, I wanted to be able to give education to everybody on the business sense, right? The business education to everybody who needs it. And hopefully they can find providers through this in their own country,
Hmm.
right? And maybe that economy works differently. And eventually we want to have in-person meetups. So we want representatives all over the place, but that will help build economies in each region,
Hmm.
their own economy, kind of like there'll be ecosystems throughout it.
Mm. So the question that was just coming up as you were talking, let me find it again. It was just there and then it ran away. Something around global prosperity.
Yeah.
Like what is your that was what it was. What's your definition of or vision for global prosperity in the next 15, 20 years plus?
So through this movement, or how do I feel like the world is going to be?
I how do you see this movement impacting, right? Like what there
Yeah.
I know it can be kind of both ways. Like what
Yeah.
what direction are we tracking now that we can see like we might want to course correct, right? So what does that mean for you?
So for this movement, part of it is learning where we can support people, right? Because right now, the movement is most people, they're not in America, they're in other countries, but they either speak English or work in USG. Not everybody does, but everyone speaks English because that's how we meet, right? So they have some connection to us here. So that's not everybody, but maybe as we start to build out communities in different regions, we can have people that are helping translate and work in different languages and do things. And of course, I think with, AI and everything else, that's not all going to matter in a little bit, right? They can take a video from me and change it.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I want to see prosperity in places that maybe don't have it right now, right? With Zoom, we can really work anywhere with anyone, right? And I want to see more of that. So, and I think that is how we impact. But I also feel like you said the next 15 years, so much can change, right? In 15 years, we could all be working like this. And I do think that there's a rise of entrepreneurship, you know, especially here in America, we see people leaving corporate jobs, and I see younger and younger people not even going in that direction. They're just beginning, they're just like, I'm just going to do it on my own. I want the freedom. I want to live pretty simple a life. They're living all over the world. We track people. We try not to track people, but we have to track who's in what country, right? Our nomads. Um, they're moving all over the place just because they want to, and that's okay. And it's kind of cool, but I think that's going to be more the culture. We're seeing global schooling, and that's how we opened up the Soul Professional Business School, is because I saw a great professor. I was an MBA professor. Um, I saw great professors just leaving. They're like, I'm not doing this because you get paid like minimum wage. Like it's a terrible job and an incredible amount of work, right?
Hmm.
So, but I don't even see us schooling the way we used to school. I see less and less people going to university, right? So there's going to be these global models, which I think is better, actually. If I had young kids, I would do a global model with them now. I would not send them to a local school, because our worlds are global,
Hmm.
right? So I feel like so much more is going to happen. And I'm trying to stay ahead of that. I feel like that's part of my job as a leader, to stay ahead of it, to hear the conversations. What do we need? What will make it easier for you, right? But there's places that don't have clean drinking water, right? We can't help everybody, but I'd like to. So if that's what we have to start with, maybe there's a nonprofit that we can, partner with that are doing good work in the world. And now that happens. Like, I don't really know, but I do know that this is about collaboration, and
Hmm.
it's about having those futuristic conversations of what does the world need to move forward? Because we are moving forward as entrepreneurs. This
Hmm.
is how we are doing business. It is how we're traveling the world. When I travel, literally people are like, I'm in this city, I'm in this city. So I don't put out there anymore when I travel because everyone wants to meet with me, which is really cool if I was on a business trip.
Yes, I feel
Right?
that.
It's
Like,
very difficult if I'm on a personal vacation.
hmm.
But it's also really cool. But I also feel like just politically in 15 years, we may be more of a global economy than people think right now that they can even conceive.
Hmm.
Right. I think some of the destruction that's happening right now in our world is it has to break down to build up a new world. I want to be a part of the new world.
Hmm.
That's where I'm leading, and that's what the soul professional movement is all about. Who wants to lead in the new world? Who wants to have those conversations? Who wants to be a part of what may happen, will happen, be happen? That's what the movement's about.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my kind of final thoughts is that, we're seeing such a, oh, I don't want to say whiplash. That's not the right word. But such a cracking open right now in the
Yeah.
US
Yeah.
of, wanting to go back into isolationism, truly. Like that's
Yeah.
what's happening.
Hmm.
When we do have a lot of rhetoric around, the other is bad, whatever that looks like. Othering people in lots of ways, again, creates isolationism, creates protectionism, and it isolates us from our global community.
Yeah,
And it makes people forget that humans are humans wherever they live,
absolutely.
all over the globe. We are all people that are
Yep.
trying to make a good life for ourselves and for our children and for our communities. Um, and so that's the breaking open piece, right? Really does feel like we're seeing the struggle happen in real time, right?
Hmm.
Between the protectionism and the isolationism versus the the globalism, really, globalization, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
Um, and there, yes, I feel the same in the next 15 to 20 years, financially speaking, there's a lot to consider and to think about, but if we can frame it that way, that right now we are having a choice. We are literally making choices right now, especially if you're in the US, which when I look at my podcast distribution, I know it goes worldwide as well. So if you are outside of the US, if you're in the US, right, like we are making choices right now as to who we want to do business with, how we want to do
Mhm.
business. And I know for me, clearly for you, like being able to cross borders and cross cultures and have these more open listening conversations, how can we help each other, um, is a really important step that we can take right now towards that
Yeah,
more collaborative future.
absolutely. Yeah, it's gonna be more grassroots and like we're doing, right? I think it's really going to be these solo entrepreneurs
Mm.
because we need each other, right? I don't think our big leaders are going to do a heck of a lot, right? I think it's going to be all of these solo people actually recreating the connections we used to have, and we need to have them more. The nice thing is the internet has given us the ability to do that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, in such a beautiful way. And so it's so cool. It really is. I love that you also, like you went to Zoom before it was even like a common thing to do, right? So you're kind of on that leading
Yeah.
edge, no matter what. Love that.
I definitely see things. That is one of my gifts that I have a knowing of what is to come. But, you know, I don't always know it in the moment. I knew it, but it made no sense to me. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I just know that I'm supposed to be doing this. And that's really what I trust. I trust my intuition in that way. And yeah, so I know that we're supposed to be having global conversations, but I don't know who's showing up. I don't know who all the leaders are going to be. Spirit keeps telling me five, five, five. I don't know if I end up with five leaders that I don't know, but that's all I hear. There's
Mm.
going to be five. There's going to be five. So maybe five major collaborations, maybe five sponsors, maybe five, I don't know. But there's going to be five.
You'll know it when you meet them,
Yeah,
right?
have no idea what that means.
Oh my gosh, I
But
love
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Well, if someone wants to find out more, especially about soul professional movement, or if they're listening and they're like, "Yep, I'm ready for that next phase of more soul-led business," where can they get a hold of you?
yeah.
What do you have coming up?
Yeah, so soulprofessional.com. It's SOUL professional.com. You can find out about the movement, you could find out about the business school, you can find out about my individual work. Everything is right there. So you can go do a deep dive there. Um, one of the things that we're working on is the business school. I did a beta test, so I've beta tested for a year now. Now we're opening it up to other instructors that are writing courses and everything for us right now. But I do run one course. I will continue to run the business accelerator and mentorship program in the business school. So another cohort goes off at the end of May. There are applications, and it's really for people that have been playing small,
Mm.
maybe need some business structure to what they're doing, and are ready to really kind of step in to whatever their purpose is. They could be in the beginning stages. They could have a business for 2 or 3 years, but it is just not taking off, like something's not working. That's what that business accelerator is. People have said it's like a mini MBA, and we do the whole thing in 14 weeks, but you're working with me and I'm teaching and you work. So every single week we're doing a different topic, but I'm pulling you through it. And the results have been absolutely incredible. So most people are walking out with six-figure business models and, landing clients and everything. So that's been phenomenal. I absolutely love that is my favorite thing. I will be the only one ever teaching that, but all the other courses will be led by other people.
Mm.
But that's a big one that's coming up in the end of May.
Beautiful. Well, if you heard anything that sparked your interest there, check it out. All of those links will be right in the show notes just below. So you can connect with Camille, you can connect with soulprofessional.com, see what they have going on, and see when the next networking stuff is
Yeah.
happening, right?
Yep. That's up there too. Yeah. My master classes, it's all on the website. So, and there's a lot of free stuff.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, Camille, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I loved spending this time with you.
Thank
And
you.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see where it all goes. I can't wait to be part of it. Yeah, and just keep having those global conversations. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening, and be sure to like and subscribe. And again, if anything resonated with you from this episode, I would love to hear from you. Email me at Hannah, HANNAH, at expansiveceo.com and tell me about it. And if you're ready for your greatest expansion, you can find ways to work with me at expansiveceo.com and at x2wealthplanning.com. That's X, the numeral 2, wealthplanning.com. So until next time, remember that there is enough, you are enough, and your birthright in this lifetime is to be expansive.